this year, a 1-1 tally in the ACC at this point, and the SMU Mustangs will look for their second win in ACC play. Their first one was on the road at Cal last week. We are underway with the SMU getting the first touch in their blue uniforms tonight. Meanwhile, Virginia Tech in the white and the orange. First ever matchup between these two excellent programs. And when we talked to Mike Brizendine, the head coach at Virginia Tech, and you asked him, how does SMU stack up? How do they play up to the level? How will they play up to the level of the ACC? And he said, absolutely, they are an ACC club already. They are at that kind of level. Yeah, and that makes sense, right? I mean, that wasn't just a coach being complimentary of the team that he's about to play, although he was. But SMU traditionally is a top 10, top 20 team year after year after year. And Coach Brizendine, talking about the Mustangs, made it plainly clear that not only does SMU win a lot of games, but they play the game the right way. And they play the game in a way that will fit well with the ACC. And he thinks the Mustangs should blend into this conference beautifully in their first season. SMU 1-1 in conference play. Their conference home matchup did not go according to plan as they came up on the short end of the stick against Pitt. Pitt continues to rise in the polls, and we'll look at the ACC teams in the top 25 as we go on. Right now, SMU receiving votes is right on the cusp of the coaches' top 25 poll. They would be 26th, basically. And so this would go a long way to getting them back into the poll if they were able to pick up a result against the number 13 team in the nation, a team that's won 5 of their first 6 games. And a team that might be underranked at number 13. Virginia Tech has been winning and winning by some comfortable margins and beating good teams. This is a team that's pretty stacked from front to back. Georgievich stepping on it right at the edge of the 18. A full pirouette, throws it inside, and one of those big center backs, Stevenson, sends it away. Their center backs go 6'5" for Stevenson and 6'4" for Stevenson, and Trey Gardner at 6'5". And that is by design for Mike Brizendine as SMU takes it away. And a nice pass out to Kieran Pino. Pino on the left foot tries to play across, and Cooper Wenzel dives out to take it away in the 6. You're absolutely right that the twin towers of center back Stevenson and Gardner is not an accident, not a coincidence, as you see the cross there from Pino, and Wenzel able to reach out and not only get a hand on it, but make sure there was no rebound. Coach Brizendine said, look, we haven't always had as much size in the back as we would like. And he said last year, frankly, we came out on the short end, no pun intended, of some balls into the middle. And he said, I was tired of that. There were some teams that came into Blacksburg or welcomed the Hokies into their field who had big targets up front. And sometimes he said, we just couldn't handle it very well. I was tired of that. So this wasn't a matter of just going out and finding 2 really good players who happened to be tall. He went out and found 2 really tall players who happened to also be really good. Yeah, Stevenson, a freshman from Iceland, but he's got that international experience. And then Trey Gardner, a 5th-year senior, coming in from Davidson, where he started every game of his career for Gardner, who wears number 3. We'll see him a lot tonight. It's his 66th career start. So for the SMU Mustangs, as Bailey Sparks gets knocked down, it's at least a play on for now. This one's punted into space, and there will be a stoppage for a foul. SMU will have the ball from midfield as you get a look at our central referee, Dimitar Shavradov, assisted by Troy Dodge, Stefan Bartolome, and Reyes Vargas tonight. There's Niko Georgievich, had a brilliant assist against UIW, feeding Neve Berkovitz for the game-winning goal. Attracts a lot of attention, and it's nipped away from him by Harrison Krieg, the junior, making his 3rd start at outside back for Virginia Tech. The Hokies, their offense has been good when you look at the fact, Steve, that they've got at least 2 goals in every match. You cannot argue with that. However, they haven't scored a ton of goals in the run of play. A lot on set pieces, that's nice, but then 3 penalty kicks as well. And so for Virginia Tech, they want to see more offense in the run of play. Absolutely. Coach Brizendine and his staff are very pleased with the way the Hokies have started the season.
But you're absolutely right. As effective as they are on set pieces, and they're very effective, which makes sense when you've got all these gigantic players you can run in there as targets on set pieces. But you can't rely on that exclusively. And so he was very clear about the fact that he wants to see more goals scored in the run of play, not simply relying on lobbing balls up over the crowd and letting Stevenson and Gardner and the rest of these big guys go up and get them all.
A centering feed is missed. The toe poke chance is blocked. Hackenberg looking for his first run of play goal. He's got 3 PKs this season. And the third ball is eventually won by Virginia Tech, but the fourth goes back over to SMU. So the Mustangs survive the first Hokie opportunity inside the box.
And not to belabor the point of the size of this team, but it's going to be something that we're going to discuss over all night, because when you look at this team, Virginia Tech has, first of all, Timmy Adams, a backup goalkeeper, is 6'7". The Hokies have 4 players who are 6'4" or taller, 7 players who are 6'3" or taller. It almost makes you wonder if Coach Brizendine and Mike Young, the men's basketball coach, are sharing a recruiting database.
Makes you wonder. Maybe they can share players as well.
I don't think I've ever seen a college soccer roster with this much height.
Now, Kieran Pino, only 5'11", takes it away for SMU.
Yeah.
You've got a couple very small players next to each other. The exception rather than the rule. In blue for SMU, Danny Escorsi, and Ian Marcano for the Virginia Tech. Great opportunity for Hackenberg on a ball that came right to him up the field. And Martin Dominguez, who did not have to face a shot against UIW, comes out off of his line and makes a brilliant stop.
Beautiful through ball, and I think some of the Mustangs were caught looking for an offside flag. Hackenberg comes racing in, and in a situation like that, all the goalie can do, all Martin Dominguez can do, is come racing out, try to get as big as humanly possible and cut off as many angles as he can. And that ball almost went through Dominguez's legs. I think it hit the inside of his leg, but it bounced down into the ground and was able to remain out of the SMU net.
Couple chances for Hackenberg so far, and now Virginia Tech gets the restart, and it's a quick one out wide. Hackenberg trying to center it in. Bynum with one touch for the half clearance, but the Hokies are able to keep it in possession. Cardona across. There's the header that they're looking for, and it bounces into the hands of Martin Dominguez. And there's a center back getting up the field, even in the run of play, to put himself in the box to get a chance at the header, as Seth Stevenson was right in there looking for his third goal of the season.
Right, and that's a good distinction between the way these two teams treat their tall defenders as offensive threats. The Mustangs will bring Brock Pope or Cesar Rubalcaba when he's in the lineup, or Owen Zarnick. These are all tall guys who can jump, and they'll come up on corners and set pieces. The Hokies do it in the run of play. As you said, Gardner and Stevenson are going to tower over just about every defender they see, and they are a very critical part of this offense, especially as we mentioned, as the Hokies are trying to get more goals within the run of play. Put your best targets up there.
Already 3 early chances for the Hokies. SMU has had one opportunity, a cross by Pino, which was eliminated by Cooper Wenzel. Wenzel with those 2 big center backs in front of him. The man on the right, Gardner, sends it to the man on the left, and Floki Stevenson. This is a long run, but also an offside flag coming as well. So for SMU and Virginia Tech, they're kind of running into the same thing. Some good offense at times this year, but it's penalty kicks that are putting them on the board. Bailey Sparks actually the co-national leader, along with Damian Segura, 4 for 4, and then you've got Ethan Hackenberg in a 2-way tie for second, 3 for 3.
Right, and I mean, look, hey, they all count, right? I mean, a penalty kick, a 80-yard shot into the upper corner, doesn't matter. They all count as a goal. You certainly want to have a very reliable penalty kick shooter who you can count on, and both teams have that. But both teams would also like to get more goals in the run of play as well.
Hokies have had some possession opportunities here. Oliver Roach, one of the forwards, sends it back to Stevenson, but really couldn't do anything with that one. And a throw-in coming for the SMU Mustangs here in the 10th minute of action. SMU coming off of a win over UIW, 2-0 last time out. That SMU victory coming on Monday, so they only had one training opportunity on Wednesday. And up the field, Neve Berkovitz is called, or rather than Berkovitz, excuse me, Milton Lopez called for a foul there, fighting alongside Stevenson. Give it back to Virginia Tech. SMU with consecutive wins for the first time this season, as they also took down Cal a week ago tonight, 2-1 at Berkeley. And for Virginia Tech, they're on a winning streak right now, 3 straight. Presbyterian, Furman, and Syracuse all going down at the hands of the Hokies.
And we saw Milton Lopez lobbying that the call should have gone the other way, and that is going to be the feeling when you're wrestling for space with a guy who is so much bigger as Stevenson is. You almost feel like you have a little bit of free game, like you can push a little harder.
Sure.
But if you extend those arms or grab a fistful of jersey and the officials see it, it doesn't matter whether the guy you're jockeying with is 5'8" or 6'8", you're still going to get called.
Djordjevic, not one of the bigger guys on the team, the co-captain for SMU. Little play in the midfield here between these two teams. Mike Brizendine saying he thought the team that had the better play in the midfield would win this one. SMU with some talented midfielders. Bailey Sparks, a preseason all AAC pick, or all ACC pick, I should say, and we've already seen these 4 for 4 on penalties this year and on a 7-game point streak. Slots it inside to Escorcia, feeds it out left. Here's Pino. Pino trying to cut in. He's headed off, and clearance is made out to Hackenberg, trying to turn it up the field, but SMU is going to play it away.
Pino just played that off a defender's arm out of bounds, but the ball was completely screened from the official, so the whistle didn't come. So it will be just a throw-in for SMU.
Bailey Sparks with 4 goals, all on the penalty. And then in games where he hasn't scored from the spot, he's assisted on an SMU goal.
He has, and he does so much of the work between the boxes. He covers as much mileage on the field as anybody, and he's critical to the Mustangs' biggest strength, which is maintaining possession of the ball. He does a lot of that work in the midfield. Sometimes it results in his teammates getting set up for the chances to get on the scoreboard, but hey, he does have the 4 goals. Yes, they're all on PKs, but they still count.
And he created the last one against UIW, getting tripped up in the box, and Sparks able to toe the line. He gives it a ride, evidently going after goal. Maybe he saw Cooper Wenzel coming up, and Sparks misses up top.
And that is an indication of what he can do. If he's within 25, 30 yards, even when he's way out on the touchline on the side, he's within range. Bailey Sparks can absolutely give it a ride from distance and with accuracy. Several coaches this year have talked about the fact that he is without question one of the elite midfielders in the country, and he shows it in a different way every night, or sometimes several different ways.
What do you expect when it comes to style of play for these two teams? If you're an SMU fan, you know they like to play to possession. That might be new to know for ACC fans, but what do you expect from Virginia Tech tonight?
I think Virginia Tech is, the Hokies will be a little more direct simply because they've got speed, and then they've also got these giants that they run up there as targets, and they can't afford to lob the ball with longer direct passes. But don't mistake that for an acknowledgement that Virginia Tech doesn't play possession. The Hokies do possess the ball. They're a very good passing team, and the best way to find those big targets is to be successfully passing. And
Lopez out to Pino, and his cross is knocked away.
See Lamar Bynum giving chase, and here comes Danny Escorcia, and he's got to be careful. He just came off a 1-game hiatus for picking up 5 yellow cards in 6 games. And it's not that he's a dirty player, but that's the kind of player he is, right? He's low to the ground, he's very quick, and he is an absolute pest to play against. There's a reason he's so good at helping the Mustangs keep possession. He goes and takes the ball from you.
And he helps SMU on this possession. Now Brock Pope, the Central center back feeds it inside to Salvo, joining the rotation. Nice stop and start. Pino, the heel flick back toward Escorcia, just out in front of him and taken away by Virginia Tech as Oliver Roach starts a run with a through ball towards Sullins. Sullins cutting in on Bailey Sparks. Sullins trying to center it, and a weak feed is taken away by Pope.
And Sullins just went crashing off the end of the field. And there's a very small set of bleachers down there by the ACC Network's camera. Sullins took a bit of a tumble, and thankfully for the Hokies, he is up and he looks like he's going to be able to shake this off, but that did not look like a comfortable landing. Here you see him coming right into the camera, going step for step with Bailey Sparks, and even Brock Pope of the Mustangs goes over to check on him. You want to beat your opponent, but not that way.
I'd imagine when you start to go off of the field of play in those cleats that it's probably really tough to keep your balance once you hit. I'm guessing that's a cinder type surface there just off the field, but
yeah,
in any event it's tough to dig into.
It's sort of a rubbery turf, right? Like you know, when you watch a track meet, obviously there's a track around the edge of the field here that is in the process of being resurfaced. But the cleats that they play in are designed to run on grass. And if he were running in sprinter spikes, sure, they might have sunk in beautifully into that rubbery surface. Most importantly, Sullins is back up and staying in the lineup for the Hokies.
Absolutely. Number 13, Virginia Tech, 5 wins in their 6 opportunities this season. Their only non-victory was a 2-2 draw on the road against Kentucky, the number 23 team in the nation at that time. Owen Zarnick looking for a home run ball. And Bailey Sparks getting stuck in midfield with Carter Hensley.
Mike Brizendine, the Hokies coach, was actually very pleased with that result in Kentucky. Obviously, he and the Hokies want to win that game. They want to win every time they take the field. But the fact that they were on the road in an environment at a school like Kentucky that is traditionally very good and has a very loud, you know, pro-Kentucky environment, Virginia Tech went down a couple of goals and rallied to get 2 goals, the equalizer coming in the 88th minute. Sure, of course they would rather have won the game. But to fight back on the road in an environment like that and get the equalizer against a really good Kentucky team, he was very proud of what he saw from his group. What a resilient bunch this is.
Steve Lansdale, I'm John Little. 28.5 left in the first half. As Zarnick again looks for that vertical pass, and SMU wins the second ball. Lopez back to Escorcia. Here comes SMU. Escorcia plays it with the left foot, back out to Kieran Pino. He can make plays from here. Pino crosses to the inside this time and gives some ground to keep it in possession, going across to Salvo.
Kieran Pino is such a creative offensive player, but that time he had to even fake out the referee to get around him. And it worked.
Escorcia trying to keep from touching it, but the ball goes over to Virginia Tech. Escorcia doesn't agree.
He looked up at Dimitar Chavdarov, the referee, with his hands out as if to say, hey, I held off from touching the ball again because it was off the other guys. Chavdarov didn't agree.
So the Hokies the beneficiary of that result. Hokies at least 2 goals in every match this season. A high-powered offensive team, only giving up 3 goals all season on the other end. That's after really struggling defensively last season and really all the way around over the last 2 years. Just 4 wins in 2023, 3 wins in 2022 for Virginia Tech. But Mike Brizendine getting into the portal and getting aggressive. He and his assistants really put in the hard work when that transfer portal opened. They've completely turned the program around here.
He was very, very complimentary of his staff when we talked to him about the way he constructed this year's roster, because he said, look, the day the portal opens, there are hundreds, maybe a couple thousand kids who throw their names in there. And he said, we look at all of them. Obviously, there are some Division III guy who never gets off the bench. Fine, you can gloss right over that. But other than that, they are putting in hours and getting eyes on every one of these guys, because obviously they're not going to be the only coaches that want the good ones. And they put in endless hours burning the candle at both ends and found some really talented transfers to come to Blacksburg.
Foul on Hackenberg here. Hackenberg, one of the transfers that came in 2 seasons ago, started his career at Coastal Carolina for 2 seasons, went to FGCU for a bit but didn't play there, and then went off to a junior college where he scored 16 goals and had 12 assists, and now in his second year at Virginia Tech, really starting to explode and play with more confidence. He can score some beautiful goals. Just haven't seen it yet for Virginia Tech, as he has not scored a goal in the run of play in a Hokie uniform. Foul on SMU here, putting the body in front of the advancing Virginia Tech lineup.
Yeah, Bailey Sparks was in front and Danny Escorcia was behind Matthias Johannes, and I think either one of them probably could have been whistled for it.
Willie Cardona, who's maybe been the best player this year for the Hokies, skies it in, and Martin Dominguez knows on a night like this, with those huge center backs, that he has got to be aggressive in the air, and Dominguez picks one.
And Dominguez at 5'11", not a small guy, until you run him in there against Stevenson and Gardner and the rest of this Hokie lineup, which again looks like a basketball team in cleats on some of these set pieces.
And Gardner was the one hunting his second goal this season. Brock Pope wearing number 2 for SMU in his 3rd game as the central center back for SMU. They play 3 center backs, if you will. And he's the one right in the middle. Here's Niko Djordjevic, the fullback for SMU, trying to carry it through the middle. Loses it on a heavy touch. Roach trying to play it forward and knocked down by Bailey Sparks.
Nice job by Roach getting the first touch, and then I don't know if he either saw Bailey Sparks or sort of felt him coming, but he accelerated just a little bit, and as Sparks reached out for the ball, he just clipped Roach's foot. Nothing intentional, certainly not anything egregious, but the contact was there and Roach hit the deck.
Roach, the sophomore from Denmark, co-led the team in goals as a freshman last season, as he had 4. Formerly a part of Denmark's U16 team. A big target on the wing at 6'3". Another ball into the 18. First ball won by Bailey Sparks, but the Hokies able to keep possession here. Turning the corner, Hackenberg throws it in front. The ball gets through, knocked into the air. Lots of contact. Pope finds it, couldn't get the clearance, and a handball by Marcano to give it to SMU, and they will check on a man down inside the 18.
And is that Stevenson?
His body went up and then it went sideways, and
it is Stevenson. And when he got up, he waved his elbow a little bit as if to suggest that he had been on the receiving end of an elbow, and he's sort of wiping his nose. If you're Mike Brizendine and the Hokie staff, you've had enough of seeing big number 2 taking bumps and bruises in the box, but that is part of the price of doing business as a tall aerial target who gets up into the offensive third.
It's a hot night in Dallas, 92 degrees, so we're due a hydration break. And when we come back, Virginia Tech makes some subs up front. We'll tell you who's coming in next.
Yo, those are nice. Hold on one second.
Candace, what's up? I think my daughter's going pro at basketball.
Yo, she's 3.
Yeah, she's 3. What's your point?
I'll take those.
Wait, you're at Dick's? Could you pick up an agility ladder for my daughter?
One second.
Candace.
Yo, Don, what are you doing?
Oh, you're at Dick's. Grab me that new Z&D
Hold on.
hoodie.
Candace,
Trend.
can you get me a red tracksuit?
Okay. What else?
Knee pads, maybe the arm sleeve.
Ace, you gotta see her. You got 2-a-days going right now.
Thank you.
So what you think's the next step?
Yeah.
You
Hey,
want them to
Patrick,
crossover
let me
first
call
or
you
behind
back.
the back? She hung up.
Oh my goodness, this dude. I cannot.
The worst part about being a caveman is the upkeep. I'm a hairy guy, but my razor has to be available 24/7.
Available 24/7. Sounds like Geico's fast and friendly claim service.
Oh, I see. Okay, funny man, why don't you come up here and tell some jokes?
What do you call a gecko who helps with insurance? My hero.
For savings and service, get more with Geico.
This is amateur hour.
Virginia Tech and SMU meeting for the first time, and it's a Hokies attack that has scored at least 2 goals in every match. There are only 4 teams that have done that. College of Charleston, South Carolina, and Delaware are the other ones. And, you know, it's really easy for Mike Brisendine's team to win when scoring 2 or more goals. 85 wins during his career at Virginia Tech when they get to that 2-goal mark.
Yeah, and if you're scoring 2 or more goals in every game and you're playing for a team that's only given up 3 in 6 games, there's a formula there for a lot of victories for the Hokies.
Virginia Tech starting to go into their bench for the first time, although Floki Stevenson is a guy that's going to stay in if he possibly can. Only staples in the back of the head. They're going to keep him out of the lineup. The freshman from Iceland popping back to his feet.
Staples in the back of the head. Now he was suggesting he got an elbow in the front of the head. He's he earns his keep for this team.
Absolutely he does. Had a game-winning goal against Presbyterian. Other goal this season was against Furman, and that's where he got kneed in the back of the head right at the end of that play and missed a game because of it. Niko Djordjevic trying to reverse the field. What a ball to Pino, but just a little too much pace. A brave look by Djordjevic.
Yeah, especially when you consider that was a left-footed serve across the field by a right-footed player, and he drilled it. He pulled out his driver, and Kieran Pino can go, but couldn't track that one down.
The Hokies love to press up front, so they bring all of the guys up front out. And on for the first time this season is Declan Quill, the senior out of George Mason High School in the Falls Church, Virginia area. Playing in his 41st career game. He's got a goal and 5 assists in his career and was pretty much a full-time starter last year for Virginia Tech. The Hokies were excited to get him back after missing the season's first 6 matches. Also into the match, Malik Chow out of France and Marcos Esco from Costa Rica.
Declan Quill, as you said, is a guy that the Virginia Tech coaching staff was thrilled to get back. They've been waiting and waiting for him to return. You mentioned his stats from a year ago, and he's a very complete player who does more than just take shots. He makes a lot of runs. He ties up opposing defenders. He's a very good passer to find his teammates. He makes a good offense better.
He led the team in assists last season with 5. So adding him to the mix for the Hokies certainly going to help. And also Chow and Esco on the field. Chow with a couple goals this season. Esco is hunting his first goal this season after scoring a pair last year. Neve Berkovitz has been equalized in this game. We haven't heard much from him. And this is going to be a foul way back here. Way on back here. It was a play on, and SMU will get the restart back in their own end. Bailey Sparks touches it to Danny Escorcia, and that's immediately a card. Stoppage here as Escorcia goes down, and Matthias Johannes is about to get booked.
And they're immediately calling for help.
Wow.
And that's a red.
Wow. Wow. A red card on Matthias Johannes. One of those leaders for this Virginia Tech team. He's been excellent in the holding mid spot this season. And the referee, Dimitar Chavdarov, will go to the replay to confirm his call. But for now, Johannes has been booked with a red.
And if that stands, that is an enormous loss for the Hokies. Matthias Johannes has been a huge addition to this lineup. He does so much of the work in the middle, transferring into Blacksburg and immediately taking a huge role for the Hokies. Mike Brizendine couldn't say enough good things about Matthias Johannes and all the different roles that he fills. If he is in fact ejected, this is a significant loss for the Hokies.
So what can be reviewed in video review is, remember, it was expanded in the offseason. Determine if an ejection should be issued. That 5th line down there, that's where we are, where Johannes has been booked for a red. And what does Dimitar Chavdarov see as he goes to the video review? Will it be downgraded Will it be no card at all, or will it be upheld, and will Virginia Tech be down to 10?
The other angle that needs to be considered is whether Johannes is ejected or not. What does this do for Danny Escorcia? He is up on his feet, so if you're SMU, you're thrilled to see that. But he's not exactly jogging or sprinting off. He's getting help to the sideline by athletic trainer Becky Riegel, and he's got a limp going, and you see number 21 with his arm around his athletic trainer for a little stability, and clearly wincing in some significant discomfort. He went down in a hurry, and this was not one of those where it looked like a player was trying to sell anything to an official. Coming to the bench, he's still walking very slowly, and just by the look on his face, obviously if you're the Hokies, you don't want to see Johannes ejected, but if you're SMU, now this could mean Escorcia.
We're reversing the call to a reckless tackle. So we're going to rescind the red card, okay?
Okay, so it's going to be a reckless tackle instead, and no red card. And look at this right here. This is maybe one of the reasons it's a big card, is if Escorcia reaches this and he's able to play it forward, Neve Berkovitz is in a position where he can run by that back line, and it might have been somebody being alone in on the goal. But what a sigh of relief for the Hokies as Johannes is allowed to stay in. It's downgraded to a yellow. Meanwhile, Danny Escorcia for SMU comes off the field. You saw him with that limp.
So Johannes now is playing on a yellow, but at least momentarily, SMU is now suffering more of a loss out of this collision with Escorcia being taken down. Obviously, you hope that he's going to be able to shake that off and get back. And we'd be remiss if we didn't point out the camera work by the ACC network guys who were there and got us the audio to hear that explanation to the coaches as well. Terrific job.
Jalen Mitchell comes in for SMU immediately. A ball right up the spine toward Mitchell. And Berkovitz trying to get it back to Jalen Mitchell. Can't do it, but SMU able to keep possession. Jalen Mitchell in for the first time. He has 2 goals and an assist this season, including a game winner, and was an ACC Offensive Player of the Week a couple weeks back for SMU. A takeaway by Marcato in the middle of the field, and Virginia Tech tries to get something started with Quill running after this one.
Nice job by Quill maintaining possession as he was double teamed on the far touchline.
So again, if you're just joining us, Matthias Johannes survives a possible red card after the video review overturns the call to a reckless tackle and a yellow instead. Lamar Bynum trying to avoid touching the ball, and he does. It'll be a goal kick as Lamar Bynum makes sure that the referee knows what happened in that exchange between he and Cardona.
And both he and Cardona were looking for a whistle against the opposing player.
Pope quickly gets it out, but off the pressure, it's taken away by the Hokies, and a throw-in for Virginia Tech. Again, this is something that SMU wanted to avoid, throw-ins in this kind of particular spot. Not sure that Cardona's going to throw it all the way in, and he won't, as Pino takes it away for SMU. But the Mustangs were very intent on not giving up corners in this one, not giving up set pieces in central locations, because Virginia Tech is so good in the air. Here comes SMU. This ball out to Pino. Plays it for Sparks. Sparks trying to get some run toward the 18. Sparks 1v1 against Cardona. Cardona taking it away. Very nice play by the outside back.
Beautiful job by Cardona fending off Sparks, who was basically in Cardona's jersey. And nice job by Sparks as well, not being whistled for a foul. He kept his hands down and was able to defend and punch the ball back to Lamar Bynum, allowing SMU to regain possession.
Sparks has scored a goal 4 times this season, all on penalties, and this time it's going to be a foul on Cardona. That means SMU from the sideline will have a free kick opportunity here. And a set piece in a scoring position for SMU for the first time tonight.
And you see what we talked about earlier. While Virginia Tech will play its big defenders up forward in the run of play, now you've got a set piece. So here's Owen Zarnick at 6'3". Here's Lamar Bynum. Here's Brock Pope, all creeping forward. Niko Djordjevic and Alex Salvo, slightly shorter players, but both defensively responsible. They step back to cover up for their tall defenders who are helping out on the offensive third.
Sparks lines it right at Lopez, feeds it to him. Lopez runs over some ankles inside, and no foul is given. SMU keeps possession. Again, SMU was looking for a call to go their way. This time, looking for a point to the spot, but it does not come.
You see Lopez, and you're exactly right. He did run over a couple of ankles. I think he has a legitimate argument that there was a slight trip, but it wasn't anything extremely egregious. But when you're in the box, everything feels like a crime against humanity.
And how much is a striker in that position, or any player, looking for contact there, especially when the ball's not at your feet, it's out in front, you got a couple players there, and how do you try to sell that?
Publicly, you say all you're interested in is getting the ball and going to goal, but Lopez was on an angle away from the goal. He had two defenders right on him and a third within shouting distance, and as you said, the ball was a little bit away from him. So you almost do want to try to initiate contact, but you can't make it look like you initiated the contact. So there has to be a bit of salesmanship. No player will admit that he's ever done that because that would be wrong, but it happens. And you do have to initiate it and then somehow create the impression that it was the defender's fault, the defender who initiated it.
At least it looked as though SMU understood the no call for now, that it was one that they did not politic too much about. Neve Berkovitz back in the starting lineup for the second consecutive game. He had the opener and the game-winning goal against UIW on Monday. 16 minutes to play in the opening half. Johannes, who was able to stay in after his red, was downgraded to a yellow. Lopez gets down and dirty to pick this one away. Bailey Sparks plays it to Salvo. Reverses it up to Djordjevic to try to get things started for SMU. Lamar Bynum, who has more starting experience than any player on SMU's roster, is fouled from behind. Malik Chow, the guilty party. SMU wanted the quick restart, but before that comes, it's actually Marcos Esco who was called for the foul, and he wanted a quick word with Dimitar Chavdorov off the screen.
And Esco first pulled Lamar Bynum's jersey from behind to slow him down, and then extended his arms, shoving him to the ground. Neither one was very hard, but Chavdorov, the official, quickly made it clear that that was not going to be tolerated going forward, and he even made a little rectangular sign with his hands as if to say, look, we reviewed the last one.
As Djordjevic goes down hard. This is something you'll see once a game if you watch SMU soccer, but it's because he puts you in a bad position with his quick moves and immediately grabs his arm.
So he is the second SMU player who's gone down and landed awkwardly. Danny Escorcia did the same thing, maybe, 2 minutes into the game, where he came up sort of flexing his hand or his wrist. He was able to keep going until he was then later taken down with a shot to the ankle. But you're right, Niko Djordjevic is one of those guys who's got such acceleration. He gets up and it's his left wrist he's holding, and based on the look on his face, that is not salesmanship. He's feeling that one. Obviously, if you're the Mustangs, you're hoping number 20 can shake it off and keep playing.
The left outside back, Harrison Krieg, has been given a card. It's a yellow. Second booking issued to Virginia Tech in this match. And Djordjevic, if he was fit enough to stay in, he would try to. He's a guy that certainly capable of playing all 90. Becky Riegel didn't make it onto the field that time, but Djordjevic needs to talk with Riegel about that arm and wrist area.
And Kevin Hudson did not have a player at the line ready to go in. This was Djordjevic heading to the sideline looking for help.
And on for the first time for SMU is Noah Irvin, and this is going to be a ball in Irvin's direction as he starts that straight sprint to the corner. Irvin in at that fullback spot, exchanging with Mitchell. Mitchell trying to turn the corner, plays it inside. It stayed off the end line, popped into the air, but Berkovitz knocks it down inside the box. It's forward for Baird. Not touched by Virginia Tech until Cooper Wenzel pounces on it, as Brendan Baird, getting his second action at the central forward spot in as many games, was hunting his first goal.
And it'll be interesting to see how he fares in there against these Twin Tower center backs, Stevenson and Gardner, because Brendan Baird is the biggest of the Mustangs strikers, and he's not just tall, he is 6'2", but he's strong. He's got some muscle on him. He's a junior, he's a grown, he's a physically mature player, and it'll be interesting to watch how he's able to physically hold his ground and carve out a little space in the box for himself.
Watch Alex Perez in the central midfield. He just had the ball wearing number 9. He's a freshman out of Las Vegas, but he played with the Philadelphia Union, a club that Virginia Tech pulls from a lot, and Perez really has a magic wand of a left foot. Here's a central feed by Quill, headed away once, twice by SMU, but settled down. Johannes is able to keep it in possession. Cardona reverses it across the field. Jalen Mitchell makes a run at it, but Virginia Tech is able to keep it. Nice play by Noe Uimana, who's back after missing a couple games. He had started the first 4 of this season. Feed right up the gut, deflected, and like it might have been going wide, but Dominguez wanted to keep it in play and make sure that it didn't have the chance to go toward the end.
Declan Quill is looking for a handball. That ball was deflected. I didn't see who it hit, but it certainly hit somebody and bounced down to the ground, forcing a quick reaction by Dominguez. Quill wanted a handball, which would have been very close one way or the other to that top 18 line.
Smart play by the freshman Stevenson, force an SMU throw in, as SMU will go into their bench a little bit more. And after some good work, Neve Berkovitz comes out, and for Berkovitz you'll find Fredrik Skillberg, the Swedish midfielder, the junior, skillful player. He's making his second appearance this season at an outside back spot on the left for Pino. Ryan Clanton Pimentel is into the match for the first time for SMU. And the throw in once more for SMU. Gardner politics for it to go the other way. And also in a midfield spot for the Mustangs for the first time, Richard Garcia. Here's a takeaway by the Hokies. Trying to get forward, but Esco has that one hop underneath his legs on the feed from Johannes.
And if you're the Mustangs, I think one of the best sights in this game right now is what's being done on the bench, which is Danny Escorcia is up and standing and walking, and Nico Djordjevic is not getting his arm wrapped or iced or anything like that. He's over there with a cup of water in his hand. They look like they're not done for the evening.
Of course, having come out in the first half and being subbed for in the first half, they cannot come back until the second half.
Right.
But that is good news for the side of SMU. They've been bitten by the injury bug a little bit more in this first half than has Virginia Tech. A play inside. Quill reaches it, just rolls it in, and then Brock Pope takes it away. Here's Jalen Mitchell. A little bit of space. He's going to turn it back for SMU as Noah Irvin joins.
Irvin is a pretty versatile option for the Mustangs coming off the bench because he's comfortable at multiple positions. So he's in that outside wingback spot that Nico Djordjevic usually occupies, but he can defend or he can get all the way up to the wing.
Oh, here's Skillberg up to Ryan Clanton Pimentel. He's onside. Clanton Pimentel trying to slot it out in front. Clanton Pimentel decides not to let it roll over for a corner. Instead, he plays it quickly inside looking for Baird, and it's smothered by Wenzel again.
I agree. I think the corner was the play there because he was absolutely on the end line and there wasn't a blue jersey in the middle, he would have been better served letting that one go over the end line to create a corner.
And the Hokies play it right back up the field, looking to start something. Cardona all the way across. Perez has his eyes on the left side of the field. Now centrally to Johannes. Is nearly booked on a red card earlier in the match, but it was overturned by video review. Alex Salvo for SMU. Up the field, a run by Baird. Not going to be able to reach it. Nice play by the freshman Stevenson to get over there and keep it off the sideline as well.
It's very easy to look at these two guys, Gardner and Stevenson, and say, wow, they sure are tall. And they are, obviously. But they also cover a lot of ground very smoothly and very quickly. And Stevenson got over to that far touchline, took the ball off of Baird's foot, and still managed to keep possession and keep it in bounds. Terrific play by Floki Stevenson.
Mike Brizendine just loves that pairing of Gardner and Stevenson. They're strong, they can run, they've got great communication, they're organized, and best of all maybe, they are just hyper competitive. Giveaway by SMU. The Hokies back on top of it. Cardona goes up the field and a chance for Virginia Tech, and Malik Chow just misses off the chopper in midair.
But look at this play by Chow, the way he settles this serve. Little floater over the top of the defense. He gets a foot out and just drops it in front of himself, and then one times it with his other foot, with his left foot, actually played it off a defender. Yeah. Mustangs very lucky that didn't get deflected on frame. Beautiful play by Chow.
And now, here's Virginia Tech, so dangerous on these restarts. Trying to get it back to Alex Perez. Perez feeds it in front. Noah Irvin wins the first touch for SMU. The Hokies run after it and will keep possession. This one in the box once more, but Zarnik able to play it away. It settled down, a drive, deflected by SMU. And then Richard Garcia able to play it up to Skillberg. And Skillberg running after it, not able to catch up with it. A throw in on the way for Declan Quill.
Kevin Hudson said before the game that not only is Virginia Tech big, but they play big. They take advantage of their size, and he said if we don't do certain things the right way, we'll get run over. Well, we saw it right there. Not that Frederick Skillberg wasn't doing something the right way, but the laws of physics do kick into play every now and then.
Officially, Virginia Tech out shooting SMU 6-0 with 2 shots on goal and narrowly missing the goal. It's a ball deflected off Owen Zarnik off the foot of Malik Chow, who nearly made a brilliant conversion.
Yeah, had he been able to connect on that, that would have been the goal of the year so far for on either of these teams, I expect.
Hokies ranked number 13 in the nation. Thanks to their incredible start. Of course, they were picked near the bottom of the ACC. Thanks to a poor year by their standards last year. 4 wins, 9 losses, 4 draws.
Yeah, there's nothing about this Virginia Tech team that is a bottom-feeding team. The Hokies look fantastic.
Baird able to run onto this one for SMU. Baird trying to slot it up the field. Skillberg running after it bravely. Doesn't have the wheels, but still putting pressure on Stevenson. Stevenson, pretty nice ball to at least get it out of trouble for now, but Jalen Mitchell has it right back. Mitchell hopping to his right. Mitchell exploding into the 18, puts it up, and Wetzel makes the save. A half-volley shot by Garcia. That's knocked down. Garcia keeps it alive. Clinton Pimentel dancing in with the right foot, deflected into Wenzel.
Best little flurry of the game so far for the Mustangs. Jalen Mitchell able to get past a defender just by about a half a step, and that was enough to unload the best shot of the night for SMU.
And Wenzel facing 3 shots in quick succession, having to save 1. That's the ACC Defensive Player of the Week, the CSUN transfer, who keeps SMU off the board. Wenzel used to facing a ton of shots He faced more than 15 a game last season for CSUN. That's the reason his numbers didn't look very good. But the Hokies did a great job of scouting him and figuring out that he was their guy in the transfer portal.
Exactly. We talked about how when the portal opened, there were so many players who made themselves available to other coaches as transfer targets. So Virginia Tech just went right down the street to Cal State Northridge, about 3,000 miles away. And Mike Brizendine said that he leaned heavily on Kyle Renfro, the Hokies assistant coach who works with the goalkeepers, who basically went into Brizendine's office and said, this is our guy. This is the one we want to add. And boy, has Cooper Wenzel been a wonderful addition to the Hokies roster.
Serve to the back post, and again, like we said, those center backs joining the attack. Trey Gardner at 6'5", putting one on the near post, but Dominguez hasn't played well.
And I think the Hokies have to be thrilled that there was a hydration break earlier in this half, because Mike Brizendine said that right now in Blacksburg, Virginia, it's about 65, 70 degrees, and it was, what, 95 at kickoff here? So you have to think that, especially with these defenders going forward on set pieces, maybe this heat and humidity could start to wear on these Hokies. If that's going to happen, it'll be in the second half.
Yeah, the high was 99 today in Dallas. It was only 79 in Virginia as Clanton Pimentel fouled on this one.
Only 99 today?
Only 99 today.
Oh, it felt hotter than that.
Well, let me double check that. It may have actually reached 100 here on the hilltop. We're a little closer to the sun.
Exactly.
Ball to the back post. It is punched out and kept alive in the air. Good job by Wenzel. Hit it high enough where his team could recollect defensively with 3.5 to play in the opening half, and no score yet. Still looking for our opener in this ACC battle. Two teams that have never met. Skillberg rolling one over. Skillberg dancing over it. Stopping and starting, now looking to reverse to the corner. Feeds it down low. Baird is on it, slots it across. And a sharp job by Stevenson to get it away from trouble. However, Garcia is going to play it back outside, and SMU keeps possession.
Garcia lobbying for a whistle as well, thinking he had been thrown to the ground.
SMU with a little consistent pressure. They had been outshot 6-0, and then they had 3 shots and a quick flurry. Little touch. Garcia looks across to the joining player in Noah Irvin, but it was just never going to get there.
Yeah, I don't think he saw the defender creeping up from the back line. He saw Irvin and curled that ball when an inside-out curl would have been much more effective.
Here's Skillberg. Tries to send it across off the body of Cardona. Throw in for SMU.
Cardona has been so solid on the outside for Virginia Tech tonight. It's one thing running up and down with players, but he's also so good at stepping into lanes, reading those crosses. He's knocked down several of them already.
A breath after a minute and a half of consistent pressure for SMU. Meanwhile, the Mustangs will get the throw from Lamar Bynum here. Not trying to get it into the box. Clanton Pimentel pushed, but not enough. The heel kick by Clanton Pimentel can't reach it again. And Gardner is there to at least get a half clearance. Bynum keeps it in, popping it towards Skillberg. SMU stays alive. Bynum plays it up top. Baird loses the touch. Maybe a chance at a counter for the Hokies. Here comes Malik Chow. He has Esco joining on the right. Chow grinding against Garcia. Chow stays on it and on his feet and inside the box, plays it out front. And the drive by Esco is blocked and clear.
Great job by Brock Pope coming out and blocking that shot. Kevin Hudson has been talking after recent games about how he wants to see his defenders close the gap on shots much more quickly. And Brock Pope raced about 6 or 8 yards to snuff that shot out right off the foot.
Esco grinds his way into Bynum, and they both go down. Pope out near midfield, off the head of the Hokies Cardona for a SMU throw-in with 38 seconds left in the first half. Frederick Skilberg, an outstanding freshman season in Ponyland with a goal and 7 assists. Last year he played hurt all year, just a goal and an assist a season ago. Salvo wide to Noah Irvin. Just 15 ticks left in the first half. Irvin trying to create. Irvin to the top of the box. Irvin tries to keep it alive, but it is cleared by Virginia Tech. And the drive up the field. Brock Pope is able to keep the Hokie forward away from it, and the ball ends up in Dominguez's hands as the first half comes to an end in a scoreless tie. Intact. SMU going to the second half. As you mentioned, Steve, you were wondering about the availability of Danny Escorcia, but he's out there wearing number 21 for SMU to start the second half. Long ball, Bailey Sparks plays it out to Salvo, and Neve Berkovitz will try to get it going for SMU. And Escorcia is able to tap this ball near Lopez. Lopez did not knock it down with a hand. And here's Georgievich, who was also banged up in the first half, starting the second half on that right outside back position. And immediately SMU with the ones out there, they're back into possession. But on the 1-2, it's a little bit wide of Bailey Sparks, and a chance for Virginia Tech to run up the field. Marcos Esco, who created problems in the first half. The ball is away from him, but Chow gets it across, and Virginia Tech keeps it alive as the Hokies look for their initial goal tonight. But this possession is dribbled away and into touch by the Hokies.
If you're the Mustangs, obviously getting Georgievich and Escorcia back is critically important. And Georgievich left, remember, holding that left wrist, and he has no wrap of any kind on it. He looks like he's just fine. And I think of more importance will be watching Escorcia and how much burst he has, because while he may not have the top sprinter speed of the players on the field, he accelerates so quickly. And he went off hobbling off that ankle pretty badly. It'll be interesting to see what he's got left in that ankle.
And maybe starting the second half, because you can only have him on once in the second half, just try not to let that ankle get any more cold than it's already going to be, as Lamar Bynum trades paint along that sideline and comes up with the ball for SMU. Again, a 7-3 shot advantage for Virginia Tech. They're pressing very high here. Bailey Sparks trying to get SMU out of it, and does so with a brave pass up to Lopez, and Lopez is able to win this one against the much bigger Stevenson. Takedown by Virginia Tech, the third booking of the game. Yes, it is, and this time it goes on Floki Stevenson. Floki, the god of mischief. Oh, that's Loki, sorry.
And he's pleading his case, but goodness, he grabbed Kieran Pino's jersey and stretched it about 3 feet off his rib cage. Everybody in the building saw that one, and quite honestly, he could have been called for one 3 seconds before when he was wrestling with Lopez as well. Floki Stevenson is a big, strong man, and he plays like it.
Has Virginia Tech's press in this one given SMU issues?
Yes, but not overwhelming issues. Any press is going to give some issues, and you simply have to beat it either by just knocking the ball a mile away and letting someone run onto it, or trying to zigzag passes out of the back. And the Mustangs have been able to do that to an extent, and certainly have to feel like they like their chances to continue, but it is playing with fire. If a team's going to press like that, you've got to make the quick pass and make the ball do the work, because the ball will outrun every player.
Steve Lansdale and our entire ACC network crew in Dallas tonight. I'm John Little. Fantastic matchup. Virginia Tech and SMU, first time they've ever met. Georgievich coming up through the middle. Great pace on this ball. Out left to Kieran Pino, trying to win the race. Pino trying to keep it off the line. Who was the last to touch it? It's going to be a goal kick, as Pino touched it as he was grinding against Cardona.
Nice job by Cardona, sort of boxing out like he's in the low post. I didn't see that ball hit Pino at all.
I didn't either. I think it hit, and I could see where the central referee could have from a long way away and without the benefit of our slow motion replay cameras, thought it hit Pino, but I agree with you.
Yeah, it did seem to take even a slightly funny hop off of, who knows, a tuft of grass or something down there.
Handball here.
Handball and Niko Djordjevic going down after taking a shot to the side of the leg.
May have rather been a foul than a handball. Ball was up high. Looked like it may have been played by a hand. And anyway, it is SMU ball here. Long ball for Djordjevic, running it down to the corner, and it seems like he always wins these matchups. Let's watch. Djordjevic stopping on it, getting onto the left foot, playing it out front, and it's flicked away. But SMU keeps it alive. Bynum able to play it out to the dangerous Kieran Pino. Pino's pass is not located properly, and the Hokies try to break out with this second forward unit. I think has been very effective off the bench for Virginia Tech.
It really has. A lot of teams experience a drop-off when they go to their reserves. And look, Mike Brizendine starts his starters for a reason. They're excellent, but he's got some really quality players coming off that bench too. And you don't see a whole lot of drop-off for these Hokies at all when they go to into the bench.
Here's that press we were talking about. Bailey Sparks is always a nice place to get it for SMU. Up to Escorcia. And the Mustangs able to advance. Trying to get it out to Pino, but just a little too far in front.
And that's a pass that's just got to have a little more pace on it. It's something the Mustangs have been working on recently. It's one thing to see your teammate 20 yards away and nobody within a mile of him, but when there's someone encroaching in the same zip code, you've got to get that ball over in a hurry.
Djordjevic doubling back to take the ball away again. Both of these coaches have talked about how they just have not been that impressed with their team scoring in the run of play, as this one gets popped at the top of the six. Pope is there to knock it away with the head, and Salvo trying to safely steer it back up the field, and does so.
Yeah, nice job by Pope. He cuts right in front of Martin Dominguez and made the play. Dominguez has got to be as vocal as he possibly can to call that off, because the last thing you want is a collision in midair. And look, Dominguez is not a guy who is subtle with his vocals either. But Pope made the play, and the Mustangs live to fight another day.
And here's the foul that we saw at the very tail end of in real time, as Marcos Esco is taken down by SMU's Bailey Sparks. The Mustangs are going to get it right back here. I think that Dimitar Chabdarov, at least judging by body language, may be tired of hearing from the SMU captain, Bailey Sparks, for now.
And every official treats that differently, right? I mean, there are some who, if a player has an opinion to express or thinks he was fouled, that kind of thing, there's some officials who let them express it very vocally, and there are others who will turn to the player and just make it clear, not a word. I don't want to hear from you from the first minute to the last. Most, of course, are somewhere in between, and you have to figure that out with every official who calls a game.
This ball just had a little too much pace on it, out in front of the rushing forward, C.J. Coppola, who has played against SMU a couple times in his career, but he did so when he started his career at St. Louis. Coppola, who wears number 12, has more goals than any other player on this Virginia Tech team over the course of his career, 14. Hokies don't have a lot of high-scoring players, but Coppola certainly has been in his career, as he had 13 goals over the course of 2 seasons for the Billikens in St. Louis. Here's Bynum, out wide to Pino. SMU trying to get things going in the second half and score an opener. The Mustangs did something that only one other team has done this year, and that is hold Virginia Tech scoreless in a half. Virginia Tech had scored in 11 of their previous 12 halves. Good ball here to Pino. Pino so dangerous. Off the end line, plays it in front. Turning, shooting, scoring, Escorcia! He's back! And his first goal in his SMU career is the Mustangs opener tonight. 1-0 SMU.
That'll make that sore ankle feel a lot better. What a beautiful play by Kieran Pino. He's such a creative and talented player, and he chases this ball all the way to the end line, able to pull it back and find not only a teammate, but the smallest guy on the field in a crowd of giants in that box. He finds number 21, Danny Escorcia, and look at the enthusiasm on Escorcia's face as he takes a hug from all of his teammates. He buried it. Cooper Wenzel had no prayer on a shot that close by a player like Escorcia.
The featherweight champion, at least to the hilltop right now, Danny Escorcia, gets on the board. Missed last game because of the 5 yellow card suspension. Enters the lineup today, goes out in the first half thanks to the ankle injury, and then puts himself in a great spot for a quick shot. He had 8 goals and 20 assists and was a first-team All-American at Dallas College, the Richland campus, in junior college last year.
He is a guy who, when he joined the team, first of all, you look at him, he's listed at 5'5", which makes you wonder if even that's accurate. And at the beginning of the season, I asked Kevin Hudson, are you worried about him taking care of himself? He said, oh no, this guy's the toughest guy you'll run into. If I've got 30 guys on the roster, I worry about 25 of them before I worry about him. But Escorcia is a guy who, as you said, has proven he can score, and they've been waiting and waiting and couldn't have come at a bigger time.
And here's another chance for SMU. Good weight on this ball, but a foul coming on SMU's Milton Lopez as he tries to chase it down and takes down Noe Uimana, the only Texan on the Virginia Tech roster, in the corner. So the Hokies will have to come from behind for one of the rare times this season. They actually had a 2-goal deficit at Kentucky and came back to tie that match at 2. So it's not as if they haven't had to face a deficit this season, but it's rare. I mean, the Hokies only giving up their 4th goal all year, and we're in the second half of the 7th match.
And this is a game now, because the Hokies find themselves down a goal, this is a game where that Kentucky game could pay off, right? There is nobody in a Virginia Tech jersey who is flustered and thinks, oh my gosh, we're in trouble or we don't have a chance. You got 35 minutes to go, and you've been out shooting the Mustangs all night long. You've got a basketball team of targets you can run up here on set pieces like this corner kick right now.
Senior captain Carter Hensley's going to take it with the right foot, and watch out for big number 2 and big number 3 right in the middle.
And look at our perspective, you can't even see Dominguez.
Curling to the top of the 6, SMU wins it initially, but Virginia Tech pops it across. There's the header, what a stop! Gardner is denied by Martin Dominguez, his biggest save of the year.
What an incredible save. Totally stretched out, and that wasn't one where he did it just to be careful. That ball was going to curl inside that right post. Absolutely fantastic save by Martin Dominguez.
Incredible. Dominguez caught leaning the wrong way, but springs back across to keep it a lead for the SMU Mustangs of 1-0.
That's the kind of save that can also provide a lift even as much as a go-ahead goal. When your goalie steals one like that, and make no mistake, that ball was headed in. That was going to equalize the game. Right after Escorcia scored on the other end, we were looking at a 1-1 score, and Dominguez absolutely stole that one. That can be huge.
The talented shot stopper out of Dallas just comes up with a horking. Kieran Pino down to Escorcia. This was the combo a moment ago. Escorcia goes inside. Lopez, though, slips down. Lopez still on it and just loses it. SMU may have been in an offside position, so they just pulled back on the play.
I think you're exactly right. I think Lopez saw Escorcia in an offside position and realized, oh, if I pass it to him, the whistle's going to blow, and I think he tried to stop it. That's how he lost his footing.
SMU can't hold it on the touchline. Djordjevic trying to race there. So the Hokies out shooting SMU 8-4 in this one, and out shooting SMU on goal, 3-2. But right now, a rare goal given up by Cooper Wenzel, and the Hokies have Virginia Tech in an inauspicious spot. The number 13 team in the country down on the road, a team that has not lost this season. That ball is too heavy in the direction of Capola. Goodness gracious, Martin Dominguez announcing his presence. Remember, he's coming off of a match where he had his first career shutout, but I mean, he didn't even have to do this much work the other day against UIW.
Yeah, we've watched all night. We've talked about how big these Hokies are. There have been bodies hitting the deck all over the place. There you see Stevenson grabbing Kieran Pino and yanking him to the ground. There have been a couple of cards handed out. It hasn't been dirty. There's a difference between dirty and physical. It has not been dirty. But boy, these teams are both playing as if every ball is the last in the game.
Trey Gardner's got to be still thinking about getting denied by Martin Dominguez. By the way, I want to say a big shout out to Virginia Tech, their first time ever in Texas, and a little nod to Whataburger for the kits that they're wearing today. Isn't that what they're going for? The orange stripes kind of looks like a Whataburger bag.
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
You know, since we've started preparing for this game, I've been a fan of everyone and everything associated with Virginia Tech for this game, except these uniforms. Those orange and white stripes on the front, you can't see the numbers there. And on the back, you have white numbers on a white background with a very, very thin outline. It is, I mean, we've been familiarized with a lot of the players, and we can identify them by the way they run and their hairstyle and how tall they are and all the other factors. But, yeah.
It's kind of like when Adam Levine takes his shirt off and he looks like a Chipotle bag. When Virginia Tech comes in these kits, kind of looks like a Whataburger bag.
I'm going to have to take your word on that other one, too.
SMU up on Virginia Tech, 1-0. 31 minutes left in regulation here in Dallas as Wetzel comes up to join the play and sends it to Ian Marcano, the freshman at 5'4". They just love the way he thinks 3 steps ahead in the game. A step-in starter for Virginia Tech this season as a freshman, and had the game-tying goal against Kentucky for the draw back on the 2nd of September.
And it was a beautiful goal. He ran onto a pass just outside the top of the 18. There were 2 Wildcat defenders right in front of him, and he gave sort of a little shoulder dip and stutter step kind of a fake that froze 2 defenders. Then he accelerated forward, got a half a step of separation, and curled an incredible left-footed shot into the far post. Stunning goal, and to do it with less than 2 minutes left on the road against a team like Kentucky, that was not the play of a freshman.
Here's Pino with speed. He gets dispossessed, but now Sparks takes it over. Man falls down. Sparks tries to feed it inside. Ricochets right back at him. Now Sparks inside the box, rips a shot. Corner coming up for SMU on the block by Stevenson.
A little bit of right place, right time there by Sparks. As you said, he got knocked off the ball, but it comes right back to him, and he's quick enough that he was able to get a step around a defender. Didn't get the shot on goal, but he did finally get a corner kick for the Mustangs.
First corner of the night for SMU. There have been 2 for Virginia Tech. And you might see SMU do things a little bit differently on set pieces like this, especially considering how big Virginia Tech is at the central back positions. Kieran Pino, that left foot, ready to serve it in. Not much wind tonight, but there's a little blowing back at him. Pino, in swinger. Pino to the back post. The header is in. Owen Zarnik scores. SMU up 2-0, and both assists to Kieran Pino.
That is what the Mustangs have been trying to do all year when they bring Owen Zarnik and Cesar Rubalcaba and Brock Pope forward on these set pieces. And Owen Zarnik is the tallest guy on the field for SMU. And against most teams, he's the biggest guy on the field for either team. At 6'3", he's just part of the crowd when you play against Virginia Tech. But he climbs the ladder and gets ahead on it and he didn't slam it on goal. He redirected it, glanced it into the left side. Beautiful goal off a gorgeous serve by Kieran Pino.
Owen Zarnik scores for the first time in his SMU career, playing in his 34th match. The former walk-on for SMU is on the board, and it's a huge one for the Mustangs.
And Owen Zarnik his story is such an encouraging story as well, because he played a ton as a freshman. And then last year, the Mustangs had two very talented, capable senior center backs in Mads Westergren and Oliver Hald. And so Zarnik basically got relegated to a reserve role, and he would come in the final minutes when the Mustangs were trying to close out a victory and that kind of thing. And he was patient, and he trained hard, and he improved all season long. And from the start of preparation for this year, meaning in the spring, the Mustang coaches have been thrilled with his progress and his attitude and his production, and he has become an integral part of what the Mustangs are doing.
And he wins another header, this time in the defensive end, to eliminate a chance.
Right, and when you get one that ends up in the back of the net, then you start to feel a little more spring in your jumps. Then you start to feel a little stronger in the air, like this ball's coming to me. It kind of changes the battle in the air a little bit. It doesn't win them all, because again, we'll talk all day about the giants that Virginia Tech has up there. And if you're up 2 goals, 28 minutes is an absolute eternity.
And now Virginia Tech is starting to get some opportunities in set pieces. A couple long throws by Declan Quill, back for the first time. And now the quick entry for the Hokies, trying to get it back into the area. Zarnik is there again to head it away on that ball intended for the top of the 6 by Alex Perez. Virginia Tech's going to stay on it. Here's Marcano. Marcano's serve. A lot of air underneath this one, but right at Dominguez.
SMU gets 2 goals and an unbelievable save by Dominguez, and seems to be playing with a little more juice. Not that the Mustangs were lethargic in the first half, but they have found another gear. The opportunity to play a team like Virginia Tech and be up a couple of goals is, you cannot help but get a jolt of enthusiasm and intensity from it. Again, 27 minutes, long time to go.
Again, Kentucky has come back from deficits before to tie a game at 2, and now they're advancing through the middle. Nice ball for Quill, hands it off. Here's Perez serving it all the way through, and it squeezes back to the other side of the field. He was not able to connect with any of the 3 players inside the 18.
And Perez couldn't believe that, because he snaked it through about 6 or 8 bodies, all who looked like they were within inches of it.
We're going to have a review here to see if SMU played this one with a hand inside the box. You saw Ethan Hackenberg immediately as that ball bounced in between he and Lamar Bynum. Bynum knocking it out for the corner. And at least initially, it's a corner, but this is something that in the replay system, the officials, the referees can look at this year. Hackenberg, who would probably be the player to take the PK, knocked the arm of Pino into the ball, or did Pino do it willfully or accidentally, however you want to put it? And a chance for Virginia Tech to slice the lead. Another enormous call. The first one tonight was Johannes getting booked for a red, but it getting downgraded to a yellow, so that one went in favor of Virginia Tech. What does the eye in the sky say here?
Kind of want to cue the Jeopardy theme or something here while we're waiting on this, because obviously this is an enormous call, and we've talked about the momentum swings that SMU has enjoyed from the 2 goals and the big save by Dominguez. This could be a very deflating call if it is reversed and leads to a penalty kick for Hackenberg.
Pino's 2 assists. The difference right now.
Come on! No penalty. No penalty. It was just his motion of the hand. Yeah, no penalty.
So it's just his motion of running You see him chop down on it. It's his motion of running. What great work. And I love the ability to zoom in by our ACC network crew. It's the first time we've ever had that when we've come to SMU to broadcast a game, and it really does help the referee make the correct call.
It really does. And then the fact that we're able to listen in on the conversation, the explanation of the coaches, simply makes our broadcast so much better. Hackenberg was in disbelief that it wasn't awarded a PK.
Danger not over as Alex Perez prepares for the corner kick. Before that happens, there will be a chat.
The hands? Okay, stay the positions. Thank you.
Milton, hey, lock in right there.
Trying to make sure that the two players in question, Gardner and Bynum, don't jockey for position. Here's the header through the box. It gets over the top, nothing clean. Another serve attempt will result in a corner for Virginia Tech.
Okay, we heard Dimitar Chavdarov telling Gardner and Bynum, keep your hands down. And within a half a second, they were both wrestling again for space, and 3 players ended up on the ground.
Here's the next serve. This time it's short, and Bynum gets stuck in there for SMU to deny Escorcia trying to get out of his own end. And finally, it's punted into space, and Bynum's able to keep it off the touchline, at least for now for SMU, but he commits the foul.
I really thought I heard a whistle when Escorcia hit the deck. Well, apparently I was the only one in the stadium who did.
Ethan Hackenberg doing everything he can to get on the board here. Good play by Salvo, and Salvo feeding his way through the middle. Surprised that the tug on his shoulder did not go his way.
So is Kevin Hudson, Kevin Hudson, the Mustangs coach, is not a very animated coach at all when it comes to disagreeing with officials' calls.
I think this one was off of Djordjevic, maybe, and maybe we'll see that. Perhaps a makeup call? So SMU will get a throw-in out of this.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think there's any doubt that's off of Djordjevic.
But it's going to go right back to Virginia Tech, so we're back where we started as the Hokies look for the quick play on the throw-in. They are threatening down 2-0 here in Dallas. Neve Berkovitz with a good defensive play, and Berkovitz gets tripped up onto the ball. Advantage SMU here as Berkovitz is looking at that right boot.
And remember, Berkovitz missed several games at the beginning of the year. This is very concerning if you're SMU. I say in every broadcast that I hate to identify the athletic trainer for either team because you hope that they get the night off. But Becky Riegel, the Mustangs' outstanding athletic trainer, out on the field again to check on the Mustangs' sophomore midfielder.
If Berkovitz has to come out for injury here, his night would be done. And he's a guy that certainly has the chance to make it 3-0 SMU. For the Mustangs, their midfield depth is one of the things that they are very proud of this season, though. And as they start to get more of these guys back like Skilberg and Berkovitz, what was at one point early this season a more thin position, hey, you never want anybody down. They've got capable guys to bring in off the bench like Jalen Mitchell.
They do. They have Jalen Mitchell. They have Freddie Skilberg. They have people like that. And it's one thing to, as you said, it's one thing to have gifted starters, and they certainly have that. But it's a long season. It's a very, very physical season. You know, the people who don't watch soccer and think that it's not a contact sport are simply ill-informed. It is a very rough season, and these guys aren't wearing a lot of pads other than their shins. So that depth is absolutely critical. And when you step up a level of competition by going to the ACC, the bumps and bruises are numerous.
Berkovitz staying in. Obviously big for SMU. Djordjevic plays it off of a player, tries to throw it out in front. No complete clearance. Escorcia runs onto it. Heel kicks it back in the direction of Djordjevic, and a foul on Djordjevic as he pulled back on really both the arms of Noe Uimana there.
Based on some of the other calls tonight, that seemed awfully light, but it was right in front of an official, so it's hard to suggest that he didn't have a good view of it.
Cooper Wetzel giving up just 3 goals all season. He and the back line for the Hokies have surrendered 2 tonight. 23 minutes left in Dallas. If you saw the clock leap, that it now reflects what it says here in the stadium. So no time was actually lost. We were just a little bit behind. Under 23 left to play. Salvo loses it. Can Virginia Tech get a chance? No. Berkovitz, who was just hurt, back onto the field, and he's able to squeeze it back to Djordjevic to win one up the field.
Very calm, composed play by Djordjevic, who spun the ball away from one Hokie and then realized there were 2 more waiting for him, and simply turned and launched it upfield, allowing his teammates to regroup.
SMU in search of their first home win in the ACC. Here's a nice run through the middle. Good stop and start by Quill. Plays it out wide. Uemana, very dangerous. Now the equally dangerous Perez all the way in front, but it is nipped away. Danny Escorcia is able to grab the ball, and then a very vertical ball up the field in the direction of Milton Lopez. He chases down the center back, Floki Stevenson.
We talked earlier about how Danny Escorcia, for all of his attributes, he's not going to win the fastest sprinter on the field, but he starts and stops so quickly and changes direction so quickly that it's almost like being faster than he is, and he's able to create separation. And then he saw Lopez downfield and launched a ball 40 yards downfield looking to connect with his teammate.
Quick restart. The Hokies need 2 goals. Got a little over 21 minutes to get it done, but another win by Escorcia. Now Berkovitz calmly plays it in reverse. And SMU looks for some space to do what they do best, at least what they want to do best, their MO, possession. And this is the best defense right now for the Mustangs with a 2-0 lead.
Exactly. 21 minutes left. Obviously, it is way too long to start playing stall ball. But when you've got a 2-goal lead, you want the ball to do all the work and make your opponents chase, especially an opponent that's not used to playing in 95-degree heat.
Advantage SMU. Pino with 2 assists already, trying to create once more. Pino down to the end line. Pino centers it and deflected away.
That is at least 3 times tonight that Pino has gotten all the way to the end line and was the only one who stayed going full speed and able to keep the ball in play and knock it into the center.
Again, against a Virginia Tech defense that had not broken down much at all this season, only giving up 3 goals in 6 matches. Ball comes centrally to Chow, and Chow got way too much of that one. Underneath it and out of play with 20 minutes left in regulation. It's a hot night in Dallas. Martin Dominguez, at least 1 theft of a goal for the SMU Mustangs. SMU leads it 2-0 at the final hydration break on the Hilltop.
Yo, those are nice. Hold on 1 second.
Candace, what's up? I think my daughter's going pro at basketball.
She's 3.
Yeah, she's 3. What's your point?
I'll take those.
Wait, you're at Dick's? Could you pick up an agility ladder for my daughter?
1 second.
Candace.
Yo, Don, what are you doing?
Oh, you're at Dick's. Grab me that new Z&D
Hold on.
hoodie.
Candace.
Trend.
Can you get me a red tracksuit?
Okay. What else?
Pads, maybe the arm sleeve.
Ace, you gotta see her. You got 2-a-days going right now.
Thank you.
So what you think's the next step?
Yeah. Hey, Patrick, let me call you back.
She hung up.
Oh, my goodness. This dude, I cannot.
Finding where my wife wants to eat, it's like finding the right coverage. It's a big guessing game.
Someone needs Geico to take the guesswork out of insurance.
Oh, we like the Geico jokes. Watch this. I'm the gecko. Governor.
For savings and service, get more with Geico.
Next.
And we're back. The team is looking down the barrel of a 4:55 meeting.
Can they turn it around and make this meeting an email?
Jones is taking the ball and running with it. She's asking Grammarly to write the first draft of an email.
What a play. Grammarly is an AI writing partner that helps you make your point.
She's got a clear shot and it's good.
Bazinga!
It's a slam dunk. The meeting's canceled. They'll go home champions.
Download Grammarly for free.
Welcome back into Dallas. It is the final hydration break of the night as the SMU Mustangs lead Virginia Tech, the number 13 team in the country, 2-0. That man, Kieran Pino, has been pretty dominant, flying down the flank, and then Martin Dominguez continues to run his clean sheet streak nearly to 2 games now.
And I'm glad you mentioned Pino as dominant, because it'll be Escorcia and Zarnik who get credit for the goals. Here you see Dominguez climbing the ladder to go over a couple of those big Virginia Tech targets, now laying out to his right. And here's the save of the night, the header from Trey Gardner. And as you said before, Dominguez was leaning to his right and was able to get his feet under him, get his balance, and launch himself back to the left. Absolutely brilliant save by Dominguez.
Dominguez, such a motivated young man. Talk about waiting your turn. 2 years, didn't play at Oregon State. A year at SMU, more than a year at SMU, only 8 minutes on the field last year. And then in that keeper battle, it was a multi-way keeper battle in the offseason, lost it to Chance Johnson, bided his time, kept working hard, and Dominguez getting his chance. And so far, doing very well with it for SMU. He looks to be in outstanding form.
It is, and to your point, it's hard enough to go out and play under normal circumstances, but to wait like that and to stay focused, not just being ready on game day, but being ready every day in training. Martin Dominguez, by all accounts, you listen to his teammates talk about him and his coaching staff. He has such a relentless work rate, and it pays off now. And beyond that, we've already seen he's a pretty good shot blocker, absolutely fearless when the shots come at close range. And after waiting a long time for his opportunity, he has absolutely made the most of it.
He and the Mustangs trying to stay focused for 19 more minutes. This Virginia Tech team has not lost all season after experiencing 9 defeats last year, 14 the year before. That centering feed by Quill was not accurate. Escorcia reaches this one, grinds his way through contact by Hensley, reverses his field, and feeds it out to Djordjevic. Those little plays, those little winners by SMU might be the reason that the Mustangs pick up the victory. Here comes Djordjevic. He's got speed, trying to split the center backs. He turns back, sees Pino joining again. Does he have a repeat performance? Back to Djordjevic, saved off the line.
Floki Stevenson just prevented this game from being over. Freshman, and again, he's a freshman. Right place, right time, and stayed composed. One-timed it out of midair. That ball was earmarked for the lower right corner. Floki Stevenson, if Martin Dominguez had the save of the game on one end, Stevenson had it on the other.
SMU scored off their only corner of the night. Sparks swings it to the back post. Zarnik again. This time he took contact in his shoulder. There's also a man down for Virginia Tech. So we're pretty much 10 on 10 here. A long ball. Onside. Dominguez gets there. Once again as he beats Chow to the ball.
And now Dominguez is down.
So is Chow.
And so is Chow. Field's looking like a mash unit.
The 2 defenders who were down on the other side of the field are now up. More scrambling play by the Hokies, and Dominguez makes the play, taking it off the feet of Chow at the top of the 6. So here's contact on one end, and it looked like it might have been friendly fire.
I agree.
And here's Chow.
We were just saying a moment ago how Dominguez is kind of fearless. Did that catch him in the face? Or was it his shoulder as he was rolling into it?
I'm sure we can look at it one more time. Yeah. Caught him in the head, I think.
I think it did.
Now, there may have been some contact with Chow as Chow glanced by.
He's got a little bit of a smile now as he looking up saying, you know, I think he's going to be okay. But I've said this before on other broadcasts. Anytime you take one in the face, a shot like that, it may not break a bone or your nose or whatever, but it can make you see sparks or see stars a little bit. And those absolutely sting. It takes a special breed to play goalie and go crashing out like that when you know you might eat one at point blank range. Incredible toughness by Dominguez.
Dominguez showing some fearlessness several times in this match. He could have given up 3 goals by this point. And certainly the man who's doing the pushing right now, Trey Gardner, nearly had a goal for Virginia Tech, and then 2 breakaways by the Hokies, one by Hackenberg and the other by Chow. And Dominguez was able to close down the space and meet them, and Chow, after being held off the board, will sit down for the rest of this match. So he's subbed out at forward after some really nice work, but nothing to show for it. The winner for Virginia Tech here. 16 minutes remaining in Dallas. This Hokies team has at least 2 goals in every match. They're going to need at least 2 to pull out the draw. Marcano tries to slot it in, and Bynum, who I think has been really good both on the ground and in the air in this match, is able to play it away.
He has. Kevin Hudson said when Cesar Rubalcaba went out of the lineup a couple of games ago, forcing Brock Pope into the middle, he said, we've got 4 starting quality defenders to play 3 spots. And Lamar Bynum was the one waiting his turn. And Lamar Bynum started and played a ton last year. And he has stepped in seamlessly. Last year he played on the right side. This year he's been playing on the left side, and he has been consistent and solid and dependable on that left side.
Here comes Bailey Sparks. Oh, eyes in the back of his head to try to slot it to Djordjevic, but Gardner cuts it off. But SMU is going to have possession, at least after Perez left it behind him. But Perez comes right back and gets after it, and Bynum continues to stick his weight into the ball in every way imaginable.
Again, they're playing it with a little bit of a different gear than they did before the goals, before the big save by Dominguez. Are they close to winning? No, not yet.
Hokies desperate, near post drive, knocked out by Dominguez. Corner kick upcoming.
The Hokies will pull the trigger from anywhere and everywhere at this point because goals obviously are tough to come by. The Mustangs are not going to sit here and tell you they're trying to ice this win just yet, because 14.5 minutes is an eternity.
Dominguez frustrated at himself that he didn't catch that ball. He definitely had to play it. A sub up front, Milton Lopez, after his hard work at the striker position, comes off, and Brendan Baird is on. You would assume for the remainder. And it also gives SMU another 6'2" player to battle in the box against those bigs as Perez prepares for the corner kick serve. Serve to the top of the 6, nobody there but Brock Pope for SMU.
You mentioned Brendan Baird, and you're right, he does present another big body who can come all the way back from that striker position and help in the box, help in the back as the Hokies throw everyone forward. But he also helps on the offensive end because the Virginia Tech defense obviously has to keep the ball away from its own net, and Baird is not a track star necessarily, but he is, and this is not our description, this is the description of Kevin Hudson, he is a big slab of meat.
You've been waiting on that one.
I have been waiting on that one, and if the Baird family is listening, I'm sorry, but it is said with admiration. Brandon Baird is a big, strong man, and he is going to make the Virginia Tech defense work physically, not just throwing all the numbers forward, because they won't be able to. He is going to occupy space. He's very comfortable with his back to the goal. He can hold the ball in the box, and he could end up being a crucial addition to this lineup for the final 13 minutes.
You know, with a name like Baird, you'd think you'd be in more to carbs and, you know, kneaded dough. However, Brendan Baird, that big marinated, seasoned slab of meat for the SMU Mustangs.
And it's funny you say that as well, because if there's anyone listening who has been around Dallas and the SMU campus for, say, 30-plus years, the Mrs. Baird's Bread Factory used to be right across Mockingbird Lane from the SMU campus. And you could be here calling a game, and if the wind blew the right direction, you would start salivating because you would smell bread flowing through the campus in the early evening.
Here's Escorcia as it taken away from behind. The matchup against the 6'5" Trey Gardner.
I guess I just revealed that I've lived in Dallas for more than a minute or two.
That's all right. You got the knowledge. Hokies really need a big play to put this match in doubt. An offside position. So they run away from it, and SMU with at least the half clearance for now. Baird unable to hold it cleanly. Alex Perez winning this one, and Baird called for the foul.
You don't like to give up a free kick that far away, but for Baird, you don't get upset at that one. That was a hustle and an energy foul. Sure, you'd love it if he had been able to punch the ball free, even if it's just knocking it out of bounds without drawing the whistle to give a free kick. But that was an energy foul. That was a hustle foul. He's not going to hear anything from the coaches about that.
Alex Perez has 2 assists on the season, trying to create something here. And Perez restarts it, but there was nobody there, and Virginia Tech misunderstood what the coaching staff wanted on the restart. Perez, obviously, as the free kick man, could not be the first to touch it again.
No, but he was right to do so because Escorcia was coming, and if Perez had stood back, there were about 60 or 70 yards of open space for Escorcia to run.
And a quick split-second decision. Neef Berkovitz able to stay in through that apparent lower leg injury. He's lifted. Djordjevic is as well. And here's one of the closers for SMU defensively, Enzo Pinozzo. And also coming into the match, Noah Irvin, as SMU takes a more defensive position now with 11 minutes left in the 2-goal lead. Pinozzo, not only a good defender, he can also really run. However, this one is a winner for Virginia Tech.
He can and he will. He plays limited minutes, but the description of Enzo Pinozzo, he comes in and he runs like his hair is on fire from the minute he gets on the field until the minute he leaves. He is as much a high effort guy as anybody on this team, and that's the kind of pursuit that you need when you're going to try to close out a game.
Kieran Pino has assists on both of the SMU goals. Danny Escorcia's goal in the 51st minute would be the game winner right now. And then off of a corner kick, Owen Zarnik scoring off the header, the first of his career. There's your scoring summary. And the 62nd minute gave SMU the 2-0 lead. And now Virginia Tech, a team that has not been held scoreless all season, hunts the first of 2 necessary goals to get some kind of results in Dallas. This Mustang team's not going to make it easy. Here come the Hokies. Through the middle, Hackenberg dribbles it out. Oimata goes up top. Perez, another freshman on this team, spins it in the direction of Gardner. Now it's on the right side. Slotted down to the top of the 18. Good play by Pope. Feeding it up to Baird, and SMU with possession, 9:15 left.
Good play by Pope is right. It showed a lot of veteran composure. It's so tempting there to just wind up and try to knock the ball into next week, but he found a teammate keeping possession for another 30 or 40 seconds.
Uimana, the drive, knocked down, and a lot of contact with no call. Dominguez would have wanted to hold that one cleanly. There was a big rebound to be had, and more contact. There will be a look at this and what happened in the box between Andy Sullins, the striker, and Dominguez.
Dominguez knocks it up in the air, and once it's in the goalie's hands, Sullins come and knocks the ball out of his hands.
Could this possibly be a red card?
It could. It'll be a gutsy call if that is the call that is made by Dimitar Chavdarov. To make a call like that, to call a red when there's 8:55 left against a team that is trailing by 2 goals would take a lot of courage on the part of the official. But based on the video that we saw, the ball being in Dominguez's hand, it looked like he had it cleanly and probably had a half a step. Kevin Hudson apparently agrees with us.
And obviously, this is not something Virginia Tech wants in a match where they're down by 2. You never want a red, but in a match where you're down by 2, you've got a tough matchup against Pitt coming up next. You don't want to be down Sullins for that match if that were to go the way of the red.
Right, and neither of us is suggesting that Sullins was trying to hit Dominguez.
Oh, no.
You're down 2 goals on the road. You need a miracle at this point to get a couple of goals against a defense that obviously has been pitching a shutout so far.
It's C-ball, kickball here.
It's C-ball, kickball, and you're simply going as fast as you can. There is no player on earth who would have been able to hit the brakes and stop without running into Dominguez on that play. He was not trying to commit a foul. He was not trying to initiate contact. He was hoping and praying that ball was going to pop out of Dominguez's hand, and he would be sitting there waiting to pounce on it, to tuck it in the goal. You saw Owen Zarnik standing behind Dominguez with his hands out as if to say, you've got to be kidding me. There has to be a call there. Now we're going to find out what the call is.
And originally, it was a no call.
The call is confirmed, no penalty. Drop ball for the keeper, drop ball for SMU. The call on the field is confirmed, no penalty.
I like the way that Dimitar Chavdarov has handled these video-assisted reviews. And it takes a whole village, the central referee along with the replay people here at SMU to help get it done. And Andy Sullins can breathe a sigh of relief.
And I think he probably is, because again, there was zero chance there was any malicious intent on his part. But I think had there been a review leading to a card and a red card, I think you could have justified it. Sullins has to be relieved. Coach Brizendine and his staff have to be relieved. And the Hokies get to keep 11 on the field for the final 8:55 as they try to find an equalizer here.
Willie Cardona has his night come to an end, and on for the first time is Evan Schroeder, the 6'1" defender. You would assume a offense for defense substitution here for Schroeder, who is playing in his 6th match this season. Has done so in limited time, only 46 minutes spread across those 5 previous outings. Hokies have 8.5 left to try to draw some blood, and then another. And there will be a lot of chances taken for the Hokies from here on out. SMU head coach Kevin Hudson indicated if you couldn't get up for this game, if you couldn't get up for the number 13 team in the nation coming to town, as you're about to see Enzo Pinozzo pick up a booking, the first one for SMU, this yellow. If you couldn't get up for another team coming to town like this, you're just, you're not a soccer player, and SMU has looked up for the challenge.
They have, and Pinozzo picks up the booking there, but only after I think he took an elbow in the side of the head. Now, do you want to respond by initiating a takedown? No, probably not. But that's one of those cases that you hear over and over and over and over again about how sometimes it's the second guy who gets caught. In that case, Pinozzo was the second guy, and he got caught.
Agreed. Alex Perez will take this, or it will be Harrison Creed. No, Perez serves it in. Baird heads it out. Played back to Virginia Tech, and the Hokies keep it alive. They keep trying to get it to Perez for great serves. Curls it in, and just nothing there. Backed up by Marcano, tries to drive it, but Pinozzo gets in the way, and a ball all the way out to midfield. Pino trying to catch up with it for SMU, but it's played back to Cooper Wenzel.
And look at Kieran Pino The senior who has played 83 minutes so far, pressing high and forcing Cooper Wenzel into a bad pass when the Hokies are the ones who desperately want to keep possession to get the ball forward and work it through the middle third into the offensive end. Incredible, relentless hustle by Kieran Pino.
Ball into the crowd here in Dallas. As SMU keeps the pressure on with 7:05 left and the 2-goal margin over the number 13 team in the country. Certainly a victory like this should have SMU backed into ranked land. However, so much bigger than that, you're picking up the 3 points at home. And in the ultra-competitive ACC, it is a must to take care of business on nights where you can.
Polls and rankings, especially at this time of year, they're fun for the fans. They're fun for announcers to talk about, even the players to talk about with their friends. Coaches don't really care about rankings at this time of year. Your point is exactly right. Those 3 points in the ACC standings, that is what Kevin Hudson wants to walk out of here tonight with.
Hackenberg displeased with the call against him on the play.
He felt like he got run over by Enzo Pinozzo, and I think you could argue he has a pretty legit claim.
Pinozzo with a nice header winner down the line to kill off a few more seconds and a few more yards of space as well. His defense tries to protect the 2-goal lead. Hackenberg couldn't hold that one. Tough night for the Pittsburgh native. Tough night for the Hokies in general. It appears they'll taste defeat for the first time this season, barring a minor miracle of a comeback, and it's going to be interesting to see how they respond with Pitt coming to town next. Bailey Sparks sees a seam, tries to bang his way down the line and earns a corner.
I think Bailey Sparks was as surprised as anyone that he popped out between a couple of defenders and he was the one still standing.
He's the pinball wizard.
And then he ended up taking a shoulder check and keeping his feet again. Nice run and a lot of strength on that play for Bailey Sparks.
There's the time-eating corner by SMU. And they'll call it a goal kick for the Hokies. By the way, the assistant referees, Troy Dodge and Stephen Bartolome. Tonight, Reyes Vargas, the alternate official. Hokies with some final gasp opportunities, but a rare misplay by Marcano in the central midfield, and Alex Salvo plays it up the field to Baird. They're checking behind him, seeing how much space he has, looking for as much of it as possible with his team leading by 2 goals.
Alex Salvo is one of the guys who we haven't talked about tonight, who I think has been terrific because he's done stuff like that all night long, staying on the ball when he's got 1 or 2 or in at least a couple of cases 3 Hokies trying to knock him off the ball and take possession back for Virginia Tech, and he keeps possession so well. He's got great balance, great strength, very smart player. He'll never appear in the stat sheet, and Kevin Hudson and his staff wouldn't give up number 6 for anything.
Just like Virginia Tech is high on Matthias Johannes.
Very similar roles,
spot.
yes. They put in miles and miles of running between those 18-yard lines, and they do so much that sets up plays for their teammates.
And again, what a play by Alex Salvo. Salvo runs this one down and has a chance to decide what to do with it. Bailey Sparks saying, why not feed it this way? But Salvo, with that defensive midfielder mindset, just takes it right to the flag.
Sure, every goal scorer thinks he's open at all times, right?
Under 3 minutes left in Dallas, approaching a pretty complete performance by the SMU Mustangs. It is scoreless at the half. In the first half, Virginia Tech had their best chances. And I would say that, you know, until Virginia Tech had that header opportunity. Dominguez making the great stop on Trey Gardner. That was the save of the game. But 2 goals in the second half by SMU, one by Danny Escorcia. Off the assist by Pino, and Pino also feeding one out of the corner for a solid header by Owen Zarnik to put SMU up 2-0, and that's where we are right now.
We're sitting at a 2-goal game with 2 minutes left. And yes, you can say it's not over. So I will say, however, that when you read the schedule that's coming up next for the Hokies, I can't wait to see that Virginia Tech Pitt game that's coming up. Those are 2 of the best teams I've seen all year. I think that will be an unbelievable matchup between the Panthers and the Hokies.
And we saw Pitt. They're a very physical, big team, just like Virginia Tech is.
Right. Right. You might want to hand out some pads and helmets for that one. That's going to be a fantastic. But don't get me wrong, that it's not. Neither team is dirty. They're big and strong, and they play physical, and they play hard. And they both have a ton of skill on their teams. That's going to be a fantastic game when the Hokies and Panthers get together.
It's going to be very interesting to see how Mike Brisendine's team recollects after a loss in Dallas. He said, I mean, this is a worthy ACC team. They fit right in. And the Mustangs have proved it with what will be their biggest win of the season. Sparks goes, or rather, yeah, Sparks down for SMU. Under a minute left. Sparks able to pop back up. Martin Dominguez, that ball flying at his face.
And it fluttered for just a half a second in his hands, but he was able to collect it.
Dominguez has been ultra vocal. He was against UIW, didn't have to make a save, didn't have to face a shot. Tonight he was put on alert by the Hokies, and Dominguez comes up with a clean sheet.
The clean sheet is what matters the most, of course. That one save, though, absolutely kept the Mustangs on the good side of this margin, and I think gave his teammates an enormous lift. That was the save of the year for SMU without question.
The crowd rising to its feet in Dallas. The Mustangs move to 2-1 in ACC action with a 2-0 victory over the number 13 team in the country, Virginia Tech. And they give the Hokies their first